was so scary. I'm not going back again ever.
In India, there was once a railway station that was suddenly shut down. Many rumors spread about it, but almost every passenger who had ever traveled from there told the same chilling story. The train would always leave the station at exactly 1:30 a.m., and every night something strange would happen. Passengers sitting in the front coaches often felt as if another train was chasing them from behind. But when they looked out of the windows, there was nothing. However, the passengers seated in the last coach saw something that terrified them. They claimed they saw a woman in white, with long, messy hair, running behind the train, screaming. The most horrifying part? She was running at the same speed as the train, trying to catch it. Those who saw her always wondered, what would happen if she actually caught the train? The fear spread quickly, and as days passed, out of fear, the authorities finally shut down the station. But when a university professor heard about this,
Why would the government close an entire station over a ghost story?
determined to find out the truth, he decided to investigate himself. When he reached the nearby village, locals warned him, "Don't go there. People who go don't come back."
Ghosts don't exist. I'll prove it to you people.
That night, he went to the abandoned station. The whole place was in darkness. Only a single light flickered on the platform. He sat with his diary and camera, waiting. At 1:30 a.m., nothing happened. But just as he was about to leave, he froze. A train pulled into the station. He was shocked, because the station had been closed for years. Yet the train stopped, and passengers calmly stepped out. Among them was a woman in a long white dress. She looked normal, but lost, as if she didn't know where she was. Moments later, the train began to move again. Suddenly, the woman panicked and ran after it, screaming. The professor called out to her, but she didn't respond. He grabbed his camera and chased her down the dark tracks. She kept running, until finally, far away from the station, she collapsed on the ground. When the professor reached her, she was quietly crying. But then, she started laughing. Louder, louder, until it became a horrifying scream. She turned her head towards him. Her face had twisted into something inhuman, terrifying. The professor screamed, dropping his camera. That was the last moment ever recorded. Days later, when the professor didn't return, his students came searching. Villagers told them, yes, he went there, but he never came back. While searching the station in daylight, they found his camera. They played the footage. What they saw sent chills down their spine. The video showed only an empty station, empty tracks, no woman, no train, nothing. But the professor's voice was there, calling out, gasping for breath, running, screaming, before the camera fell. It was as if he had been chasing something invisible. The professor was never found. To this day, no one knows. Who was the woman? What happened to the professor? And why was the station really closed? After the professor disappeared, his students examined his broken camera. In the recording, they could hear his terrified screams. But there was one disturbing detail. In the part where Faisal, the professor, was running, the faint sound of a train whistle could be heard. That should have been impossible. No trains had passed there in years. The students decided they couldn't let their professor's death be wasted. They needed to dig deep to uncover the truth. When they visited a nearby village, the locals warned them not to go back. An old man finally told them, "That woman has been at the station for 50 years. He shared the story. A young couple had once been traveling by train just days after their wedding. Rumor had it that the husband pushed his wife from the last compartment as the train left the station. The case was reported, but because the man belonged to a rich family, the incident was buried. Her body was never found. Since then, people whispered that the woman in white always watched the last train of the night, searching for her husband among the passengers. The old man warned them again, don't underestimate her. Many people have vanished at that station. That's why it was shut down. This is no rumor. It's the truth." The students were horrified. Still, one of them insisted, "We'll take motion sensors, multiple cameras, scanners. There are 5 of us. What can she do? We'll prove our professor didn't die for nothing." That night, they returned to the station. At 1:30 a.m., nothing happened. The tracks were quiet. Half an hour passed. Strange sensations pressed on them, as if the air itself was watching. They debated leaving. And then, as they packed their equipment, they froze. There, in the middle of the tracks, stood the woman in white. She wasn't running this time. She was simply staring at them. They raised their cameras, but on the screens, there was nothing, just an empty track. The woman began to walk toward them. The students panicked, turned, and ran. When they looked back, she was gone. The station was once again empty. Back at home, shaken, they asked, why didn't she attack? Was she warning them to stay away? Or was she trying to deliver some message? When they returned to the old man, he explained, she does not wish to harm passengers. But those who interfere too much, she either kills them, or they vanish forever. The students then began serious research. They searched railway archives, police records, and old newspapers. Finally, they found the truth. 50 years ago, on that very night, the young woman named Anaya had died. The official report said she fell accidentally, but witnesses whispered that her husband had pushed her. One old villager, who was still alive, swore, I saw it with my own eyes. They were fighting in the last carriage. He grabbed her hand, said goodbye, and threw her onto the tracks. When the train stopped, her body was gone. She simply vanished. The husband's name was Raghav Sharma, a wealthy trader from Delhi. The students tracked him down. His life had been cursed. His second wife had died mysteriously. His children had abandoned him. And now he was old, frail, half-paralyzed, living alone in a care home. At first, Raghav refused to go, but after much convincing, he finally said, if this is my fate, then let it happen. I have lived long enough. I regret everything. The final night. The students wheeled him to the abandoned station. At 1:30 a.m., the air grew heavy. The tracks began to shake. Out of the shadows, Anaya appeared. Raghav didn't flinch. He simply said, Anaya, even today, you are just as beautiful. For the first time, her face changed. Her terrifying features melted into the face of a normal young woman, as she had once been. Raghav whispered, forgive me. I pushed you. I killed you. I stole everything from you. And now, I have nothing left. Take from me what you will. For the first time in 50 years, the woman stopped running. She stepped closer. She placed her hand gently on his chest. Raghav sighed once, and died in his chair. The woman turned toward the students. Tears shone in her eyes. She gave them one last look, then turned and vanished into the darkness. The station was silent once more. From that day, no one ever saw her again. The haunting ended. The epilogue. The professor was never found. After long searches, some bones were recovered in the nearby woods, identified as his through testing. Likely, he fainted in terror that night and wild animals took him. The ghost had never killed him. She had only been searching. Her search was finally over. And so ends the story of the woman in white.